Hey guys, what's going on? Laying back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about A Family Affair. A Family Affair is an American romantic dramedy that tells the story of three people living in LA, starting with Zara, who works as an assistant for the popular movie star Chris Cole. Zara becomes fed up with working for Chris and decides to quit her job, after which Chris goes to her home to try and convince her to come back, after which he meets her mother Brooke. Chris and Brooke quickly hit things off, much to Zara's annoyance, as she doesn't want the two to have anything to do with each other. From there, the trio's relationships with each other become more complicated as they try to grapple with the consequences of what they've gotten into. It surprises me how a movie with this much star power behind it can end up being so dull. It's definitely not bad, as it does some things right with its romantic setup and characters, but there's just as many things it gets wrong too, and when it's all said and done, it just doesn't stand out. Out of the three main characters, I think Joey King's performance as Zara was the best. She wants more out of her life by fulfilling her dream of becoming a movie producer, but feels held back due to the constant work she does for Chris, and this adds a degree of relatability to her character. Now, this isn't anything new as far as characterization goes in terms of someone wanting to be their own person, but King makes the most out of the material she's given. She has the best reactions to events that happen throughout the story, which makes her frustration more authentic as events proceed. The next main character, Chris Cole, who's played by Zac Efron, wasn't quite as interesting to me. He's a typical douchey diva actor who has to have everything done his way, but has to have someone else do it for him, and this persona doesn't really change much even as time goes on. I do appreciate that the movie adds some depth to him later on, as far as him being a famous actor who has a hard time getting to be himself and to know people on a personal level outside of his celebrity life, but it comes too late into the movie, and again, it's not original. Efron tries his best, but he can't escape the cliche writing that he's forced into. Similarly, the final main character, Brooke, who's played by Nicole Kidman, doesn't stand out much. In fact, I think she was the least interesting character in the movie, which feels a bit sacrilegious to say because she's played by an Oscar-winning actress. Again, Kidman does a decent job with the performance part, but her character is so bland in terms of writing. She's a typical writer who has trouble coming up with her next story, and that's pretty much it. She doesn't even write that much, so the only meaningful thing she has to do in the movie is what happens with the main story at hand. And to the movie's credit, it does an admirable job with its premise. Chris and Brooke become attracted to each other, and Zara has to figure out how to handle it all. It's an awkward situation that actually feels awkward in a good way, in the sense that there's a lot of entertainment to get out of it. There's plenty of funny lines of dialogue to share between the characters, much of it coming from Zara, who always has a fun reaction to whatever Chris is doing on screen. I enjoy the variety of scenes they all shared together, although with that variety does come some setbacks. See, the movie isn't just a comedy, it also has dramatic aspects to its story as well, all concerning each character's individual goals and how they tie into each other. I appreciate the effort the movie puts into balancing being serious and funny, but it doesn't always flow well. The tone tends to jump a lot from one scene to the next, and often in the same scene at once. One moment characters will be happy and joking with each other, and in the next something will be revealed or discovered, and characters get mad at each other before eventually making up with each other. The pacing tends to be lopsided, which can be disorienting to watch. This same problem with pacing occurs in the romance part of the movie as well. Personally, I had a hard time buying into the dynamic between Efron and Kidman. It feels too slow-paced and one-sided, and that it feels like Efron's character is more invested in the relationship than Kidman's character is. I just didn't feel any sort of spark between them, aside from their introduction, which sort of just fizzles out into nothing. However, I do like that the movie at least takes the age gap aspect of the relationship seriously and doesn't play it up for laughs. And for once, it is nice that a main character of a romance movie, this case being Zara, has no romantic entanglements whatsoever. The triangle dynamic, if you can call it that, isn't the best for the type of story it's trying to be, but I do enjoy seeing the little moments between pairs of characters bonding with each other. Even though the chemistry isn't always there, the writing does pull through now and then, and allows for some genuine character development. Zara and Brooke conflict with each other over writing aspirations, Chris and Zara have to sort out their professional relationship, and of course Chris and Brooke have to figure out what their personal relationship means to each other. The writing isn't exceptional by any means, but it works well enough in the right moments. I did take issue with how some of the supporting characters were used though. Kathy Bates' role as Brooke's mother-in-law, while fine enough, felt like a typical mentor figure for everyone within earshot of her, and Liza Koshy's role as Eugenie was pretty much pointless. There's a whole subplot involved with her and Zara toward the end of the film, and it just doesn't go anywhere. Everything else about how the movie is presented is okay for the most part. The music is alright, the editing is alright, and the production design is alright, although there is one scene involving Christmas scenery that's surprisingly cheap in how it looks. looks, it plays out like your average everyday romance flick, which is both good and bad. On one hand, it's nice not having to think too deeply about the plot, but on the other hand, it's better to see at least some effort put into the storytelling, especially considering the talent behind this movie. There's little glimpses of its potential here and there, but for the most part, everything proceeds predictably all the way to the end, so there's not much to get excited about. Overall, A Family Affair is another one of many bland romance movies that doesn't take full advantage of the premise that it tries to pull off. If you like romance movies and want to see one involving an age gap relationship without much thought put into it, you might enjoy checking this out. I wish the movie had turned out better considering the actors involved in it. Everything about it is pulled off adequately, but it never goes beyond its broke conventions, which makes the flaws it has on top of that even worse. Movies like this will continue to be made for as long as people watch them, which is fine for those who like them, but for me, I like to expect more than just another everyday affair. What did you think about this movie? Were you as disappointed in it as I was, or were you entertained by its love story? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of A Family Affair. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the American action comedy Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Bye bye!